I think obviously myself and my party, we extend the very best wishes to Mr Licudi. I wrote to him personally this afternoon to thank him for his time as a government minister, and it's understandable that people get affected by events, by world events. This pandemic has had a huge impact on all of us, and people in decision-making process positions are affected, and at this point he has decided to reprioritize his life, and that is perfectly understandable. I do believe that the timing, unfortunately, is very poor and regretful. He was the minister for a very salient portfolio, being education, and at this time what parents and teachers need 2 weeks before schools start is certainty and firm positions, something which of course now is feeling very shaky given this resignation. And of course, on the subject of a by-election, I think that considering his reasons and his intentions of stepping out of frontline politics, I think the fair thing for him to do would be to resign his seat altogether and make way for a by-election where a candidate with vigor and energy and commitment and hard work would come forward at these trying and challenging times where we need a parliament full of as many committed individuals as possible.
And you yourself left the GSD and retained your position as an opposition MP. So do you think it's fair to criticise this move?
As per the Constitution, the seat that I kept was legitimate, and as per the Constitution, the seat that Mr Licudi is sitting on continues to be legitimate. What the point here is that the situations are very different. When I left the GST, I left as a result of differences in opinions and style of leadership, and therefore I did not for 1 minute say or declare that I was leaving because I was reprioritizing my life. On the contrary, I stayed in the opposition benches and I represented issues and constituents and any matters of interest with all the energy and dedication that I had, and proof of this was the eventual scorings of the last general election where I topped the opposition polls. That was the legitimacy for all my hard work. So I believe that at a time like now, the questions are, can we afford to have a backbencher who is not discharging his duties for the electorate as elected? Are we entitled to, are we expected to understand that 9 ministers are going to be doing the job of 10 ministers? And where is the double standards in the message coming out of government in terms of allowing Mr Licudi's seat to remain as nothing more really than a symbolic seat which will give the government the vote that they need in Parliament, while government itself, the GSLP, was criticizing Sir Peter Caruana for retaining his own seat after 2011 when he got booted out of government, shall we say, and he stayed in the opposition benches as no more than a real testimonial role. Do we have time and do we have the budget to pay people for symbolic roles at this moment? And I think that the answer to that is no. I think we need as many hard workers and committed individuals in our parliament, and I think that the honourable thing would be for the minister to resign his seat and make way for some new candidate who will be able to discharge their duties at their highest capacity.
There's also been a ministerial reshuffle announced today. Health and education particularly critical at this time. What's your take on this?
Well, naturally, the education portfolio would have to see a reshuffle, given that we have effectively lost our education minister. On the front of the health portfolio, I think it's an interesting reshuffle, given that one would have expected that the health minister would have had the health ministry extremely close to him, given the last few months of crisis with COVID and in general terms with the health ministry. So one can only speculate that the government is looking to improve its role from within the health ministry and allocate another minister.